we shook. We shook like 1,000 frames last year down to get the queens back below. I don't want to do that again.
Well, he brings it to me and I make it happen. So,
I also use it for when I have a
I've seen Jim with his turkey feather.
stored in the apiary. I'll put it on something. Does any bee about
Snap like a bullet. Ow, these go.
I made my own and it
Did you decide about these Spartans?
fresh.
it's shaking a little.
I was glad that I was stuck with a few.
That one.
I got a dozen of them, yeah. So,
Fair James stock, have you seen?
so
It's on
they outperformed my overwintered queens from last year for honey this year, as terrible as honey was.
yeah.
And
How do we?
they drew me more frames of foundation than my last year. Yeah. So,
Did you notice the color variation?
oh, it's amazing. Yeah, this guy right here, I told him, I said, he bought a nuke from me, and I said, I'm giving you this one in particular because I want to know how she does. It looked like a black hornet. It was jet black.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Darker ones, they got more than 20 traits.
Yeah.
And I really like, you
Yeah.
know,
So where do you
the traits is so far across the board. You get some blonde, redhead, and then
I heard that it was recording. So, and then we had some that were like blonder than blonde. Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
they're all over the
it's
place. So,
but we didn't see nothing in different variety of different, you know, other than trade. But what we're noticing are, you know, they are all about the uses of the forward or where they're pulling stuff out. And it was,
I bought that UBO kit.
Yeah.
But I've been so busy with everything else, it's just sitting there in the closet. So I wanted to run it on some of yours and some of mine.
Yeah.
So that we can get an attendance. And if you can't find your name, put your name on one of the sheets in the back, your phone number, so I can find out why you're not on the printout. So, I didn't want to change your stream of, you were in the middle of a story and I was like, well, perfect. Now I can see if I can actually hear on the Zoom.
It said recording and we're all like,
you were talking and all of a sudden you stopped. And I was like, no.
don't want this on the record.
I'm gonna tell you, Okay. So hi everybody. Hi everybody on the recording. I'm Michelle Tennant. I'm the president of the Henderson County Beekeepers Association. And you are at our summer picnic or barbecue. So if you're here, you should definitely eat because we paid for this. This is part of what your membership pays for. If you are a guest tonight because of the speaker or because a family member brought you, don't worry. Guess what? There's still food, so you should eat, okay? We have a special speaker today, Billy Fussell. Did I say it right? Yeah. And it's really a big honor because he's going to be speaking to us from his experience as Migratory Beekeeper. So I'm just going to let you introduce yourself a little more officially. And then I also want, I got you. We're going to have a little bit of I'm getting reminders from people in the audience to say, oh, by the way, we've got some club meeting to do, some club meeting business to do. Okay, so what else? There's a few announcements that I want to make. What was I saying though before? I wanted to say something before. That's fine. You can introduce yourself a little more, and then if you need anything, let me know. But the recording is taking place. You'll see yourself in the little camera right here, okay? And if we lose the recording, that's all right. It's more incentive for people to actually show up at the meeting. That's no problem. Few announcements. So we have a lot to celebrate because those signs that you see right there, we have donated our pledge, which is $1,000, to the North Carolina State Beekeepers Association Endowment Fund. Yay! So that goes to honeybee research here in North Carolina, and we gave a pledge last year that we would give $1,000. So we have done some fundraising and we've donated that. And I would also like you to know that if you hadn't seen it, there's a few things here. State conference is coming up in July. If you have interest in going to our state conference, we are a chapter of our state association. Found out that through some idle conversation over dinner that it's one of the largest in the country. With the true facts about that. So, we are very supportive here in North Carolina as beekeepers. We have a lot of education and a lot of resources. If you would like to go to our state conference, I'm probably going to be making a trip down there, either in my car, or I had this wild idea of maybe getting a RV too, if anybody wanted to take that type of an adventure. We do have music. Does that change anybody's opinion about being outside? Billy,
Not at all.
like you?
Yeah.
Okay. We did apply to be chapter of the year, so we will find out at state conference whether we're chapter of the year. If you haven't seen this booklet, it actually is our application, which is also a nice snapshot of what our club is and does and why be a member. So it kind of gives a snapshot of everything that we did last year. So I'll pass this around. You guys can.
Who put that together?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I put that together. In my free time. We were on the front page of the Times News. Did anybody not see this? Anybody would like to read the article? Okay, everybody sees it, right? I'm gonna put this back in the car though, because it'll fly off the wind, okay? That was in our commitment to educate public about why you shouldn't kill honeybees. And when you actually capture a swarm, you should go to our website and ask for us to come get the swarm so we can have more bees. That was the whole purpose of this. And sorry about that. And then this is the speech that we gave at Garden Jubilee. And so if you didn't see that, you weren't there, you want to speak, this is not going to fly away. So I'll actually pass this around to you. But I'm also going to do, I was asked by the audience there to do a YouTube video with a snapshot of the tips for gardeners. So we were actually educating the gardeners on why you need honeybees to have a big abundance in your garden, your orchards and whatnot. Eric, would you like to step up and say anything about, I'm going to ask the directors who are present to come to this area so that this microphone and this video is actually recording us here. So we're going to now have some of our board directors come up and just talk about certain business, like our bank account, the apiary, things of that nature. And if you didn't read James' newsletter, it is on the Facebook page and also on the website. And this is Eric. So Eric, you'll see yourself in the, you're there.
So basically what I do is present the balance on our bank account. We currently have $5,306.85 in the bank. All bills are caught up. About all I have.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you. All right, next one, you're up.
Hello, everyone. So at the just an apiary announcement and an additional announcement as well. So the first thing, this coming Sunday afternoon, for the newbies that are on the online, we are going to have a dry run demonstration on how to extract honey. In our previous years, we do it at this particular function, but because we have our speaker here, we'll make this a dedicated thing, and it'll be nice, slow, and methodical. We'll be doing a dry run with frames, an extractor, type, the tanks, everything that you need to do that. I posted that on Facebook this afternoon. And so you can search for that. It'll be reposted onto the website via Jimpo. And if Dan is too busy, we can get it on to the emails. I know we've had some issues because it's been so busy.
Oh, Eric Walgren and I will do that.
Okay, so
Yeah, Dan
you're
doesn't usually do that.
Post it and just
Yeah, you
forward email.
just send an email and then Eric or I will send that out.
Okay, all right. The second announcement is everyone here. Are you familiar with the Veterans Healing Farm? Okay, so the Veterans Healing Farm, I am now, going to tell you that we are gonna safe harbor all their hives with the apiary, which is, I think, a total of 5. And so I was on the phone with Al Yek the other day, and he is thrilled as punch. So, we will safe harbor their hives until they have a new location. And so they can actually, and as a courtesy to us, he said, when do you treat out there? And once we're done with Sourwood honey, we will be treating. And he said he will confidently treat his hives at the same time, and he's gonna provide the workforce. All we're doing is providing safe harbor. So that's all I've got to say, and thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that, our apiary is one of those really special services that we have at the club. And when you meet people who say, oh, you're a beekeeper, how can I get started with that? They can start coming to the apiary, right? They don't have to wait till bee school. And so they give them some experience of like, okay, what am I actually getting myself into? And they make better decisions about whether I want to fully commit to an apiary. So that's a really great resource that we have here. Without any other announcements or anything else that people want to share? Let me just say this before we go into the speaker. We're growing as a club. Every single week we have additional people coming and being part of our club. So we're growing by leaps and bounds. We did change the day of this special. Normally we're the third Monday, but we've got a special speaker, so we're off Monday. And then we are going to have another meeting next month at the third Monday again. But then it'll be the third Monday of every month until Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is going to be the second Monday, so people voted on. Okay. And then we have another special event in December, and Carla will tell you more about that later. We'll have something special in the newsletter. Is everybody getting the newsletter? Okay. There's two. Right, there's the general newsletter, and then there's the one that's for members only. The one for members only, that's the reason why that's special. It has the Zoom information so that you don't have to make your way out here. Okay. I also want to say that our club, one of the reasons to be a member of a club is that what is the family needing help. So we actually banded together to help a family in need. It doesn't matter who the family is. What you need to know is that one of the spouses was injured, and then the other spouse was overwhelmed with life and apiary, and we banded together. We had volunteers go help the family not lose that apiary. And I think that above all else, of course, we need to educate the public on what we do, but that is a very special benefit that we have as a club that needs to be really celebrated, and especially for all of our volunteers who actually help with that. So let's just give a round of applause. All right, let's get to our speaker, Billy. Come on up. Thanks for being here, all the way from Florida, right? All right, come on.
Sometimes we're in Georgia and sometimes.
So you're gonna see your body in this little section right here. I don't know if I can get there. You go. You can see yourself, and I'm gonna go in and make sure that we can hear you. All right, go on. Round of applause again.
My name is Billy Fussell, and my wife Lisa here. We are owners of Bee Fussy Apiary. We are out of Central Florida is our main base. We travel from Central Florida to South Georgia, and then we come up here with the Sourwood. I think I've been coming here about 10 years now. Hendersonville is kind of special to us because that's where we actually met. So this is kind of when we come back here. It's kind of what's that? Yeah, we met at Barron's Filling Farm with a couple of y'all's club members that have been out there, and we run about 1,000 hives. And I started out as a backyard bee. So when my dad introduced me to bees about 15, 16 years ago, I started with 3 hives. And I played around with them, did the same thing as the average backyard beekeeper did. Tried to keep them alive, and things were a little different back then. The mites were just starting to come into play. the small hive beetles wasn't even up here yet. I remember one year I was in Georgia, didn't have a small hive beetle. I went bragging about back to Georgia. I don't have small hive beetles in Georgia. I'm gonna keep all my bees in Georgia. Yeah, I'd give it another year. Small hive beetles move to Georgia. They're everywhere now. I make a joke. 15 years ago, we were bee tenders. Nowadays, we're all bee keepers. It's all we can do to keep them alive, keep them in a box. We focus probably about 40%. John, I tell you, I made the joke of, I love chasing the honey. My wife loves pollinating. We do crops in Florida. Usually, in January is when we start our spring. Actually, our first day of spring is around the 15th of December. Florida is different. We're doing stuff down there before y'all ever get to go out and open a box of bees up. My first contract is a blueberry contract. All of our bees go to pollinate blueberries. And I think this year he asked for 800 hives on blueberries. We run about 10 hives per acre on that there, and he wants us usually the 7th or 10th of January to have our bees on blueberries. So we're stimulating our hives usually by the second week of December to have them up and rooted and going good. We're making splits. We're also certified queen breeder in Florida. We're doing splits and producing queens by mid-February. At Shane, he got some queens from us. He was like, man, y'all have queens really early. What makes us unique there with having 800 hives on an 80-acre farm, we have plenty of drones to really produce really good mated queens at that time of the year. From there, we will go into orange blossom, which is almost the way of the past in Florida. Orange blossom honey is probably just about on its way out. The orange groves have got this green disease, and the farmers are not wanting to invest to spend back on something they cannot live off. So they're selling the land off, and guess what? Florida's got more houses. The building down there is just crazy. What they don't understand is when they build these subdivisions, they're not only taking the orange, but they're taking the rest of the vegetation away. So the bee world is really struggling in Florida, and we have a couple big. The county we live in, we probably have about 12 commercial, probably 3,000 more hives per operation, and they're asking me, how y'all are doing? I said, we're going back to old ways of migratory beekeeping. In Florida, we have guys in January will ship their bees to California to pollinate almonds. And I've been hounded now for 5-6 years to go to almonds. And, the money's lucrative, but it's like sending your children to daycare. One kid's sick, they all come home sick. And hear all the horror stories. I said, I really don't want that. I want to stay 5 miles from my house and do pollination of blueberries where my bees are healthy. And so we pass on that. And after blueberries, we go to a little bit orange, and we go to our spring honey flows, and then we go to South Georgia, we pollinate watermelon. And this year we did squash and some blackberry. Really like the blackberry because, as I was telling John a while ago, we actually carried 40 hives for a little small blackberry farm. I think we actually made 2 drums of honey. So when you get paid to pollinate, you make honey, you get a little bonus stick on that there. So that was good. And then from there, we will do our spring honey in South Georgia and in Florida. Then June we come up for y'all know the sourwood is hit or miss. One year you could hit the payload, and one year it could just be nothing. It depends on. I think y'all had a lot of rain this spring, didn't you? I see a lot of stuff people talking about. It's really, y'all spring flow wasn't that good. Florida was really great. I think we averaged about 120 pounds per hive average on spring. It's really good there. But the reason we diversify into pollination and honey, because it's like playing the stock market. The honey is high risk, high pay if you make it, but the pollination is guaranteed money. The farmer's paying you to pollinate. And there's some risk with that. Some of y'all, I know Shane does apples and stuff. So you got your fungicides and your herbicides. Build relationships with your farmers, hoping they're looking out for you, what they're spraying, when they're spraying, and they understand if they spray your bees, they're actually killing their labor in pollination. So educating them, it's the same as back to the backyard. You try to educate your neighbors and stuff that, hey, these bees ain't as bad as what you're reading on. They're not going to sting you this kind of. So education that part. We go back after firewood, we'd go back to Georgia, and then we work our way back to Florida to the east and west coast for a honey called Brazilian pepper. And the couple guys said there's a Brazilian pepper plant that's actually a basic plant for Florida. Only people who like that are the people. You could go down there, and every one of y'all know the most valuable piece of equipment in your hive is that wax. If you got draw going to the firewood, you're gonna make honey. If the bees got to draw out wax, it's 8 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of wax. So we go down to the pepper flow. You can put 2 brand new supers, nothing but foundation, and pull that out by 10 days. It's amazing how fast they pull that out. So we go down to that, get all that wax drawn out to get ready for spring. And plus, when you're letting your bees get a natural food source, and then you can, the pepper honey is a baker grade honey. So if you can leave a home for your bees, because our winters are different from your winter. We have 2 days of cold, and then also it might get down to 40s one night. Next day it's in the 80s. Bees are flying, and so they're burning more carbs, looking at stuff. So it's healthier than throwing, sugar water on. So that's our cycle on that for the year, is how we, transport. And then as we move, like when we leave Florida, we have to get inspected. I have to have a travel permit, take us to Georgia, and take us to North Carolina. Like we come to North Carolina, we get inspected, leaving Florida, then we contact y'all's local inspector and say, hey, we're here. Nice thing about North Carolina, Georgia inspectors, they like what Florida's done as far as the ag department affects the rules, because we also, south of us, we have what you read about the Africanized. We have certain hot spots of Africanized bees, same as Arizona and a couple Texas have these hot spots. So they're actually checking our bees for that, plus American Fowl. Yeah, to be certified in Florida for queen birds, they will actually come to your queen bird. They will check your DNA of your own, make sure you're not trying to keep that number down. There's hot spots. It seems like
not on the numbers in the actual DNA.
I think we had one in our last count, or 1% of and the thing about the Africanized bee is some of the DNA that Africanized trait has is not a bad thing. They're more aggressive, but as far as high bee on the mites, they've got the mites down pat. Well, notice in the last 5 years is your bees are forming. Well, they're forming more because some of the old traits of queens, and that's what I was going to go into. We're going to talk about queens and the breeds. Some of the older bloodlines that we ran 15, 20 years ago, they don't understand what mite is. So their way to break the cycle is to form. And the Africanized trait will, their hives are small. The colonies are only around 10 to 15,000. They swarm 8 to 10 times a year. So they're really breaking that mite cycle up. There was a gentleman years ago that is actually the person who went to the government and got the government to name the colony class, name it David Hackenberg. David was at a meeting and says, go back and look at old pictures of the 60s and 70s. You see truckload of bees going to Dakota. You can see on the outside of the box bees. The average hive back then was 70 to 80,000 bees per hive. Them days are gone. With all the diseases and all the traits, you got 40 to 50,000 now in a hive. You're doing good. The reason behind that is that our new genetics and our feeding is that the pesticides and chemicals, a lot of stuff affects the drone. You know, on your breeding, if you don't have a really good fertile drone and it breeds with a queen that's on, you know, she thinks she got probably bred, but she's not. Well, then here in North Carolina, what do y'all think y'all get about 150 days a year of laying cycle before you shut down for winter? 120, 150 days average of laying. 5 months.
Typically start for laying start February. I think it starts January.
Yeah.
Depending on how long, and they'll run until.
So you're not too far off, and that's, you know, in the bee world, everything's a numbers. When your queen goes out and she goes on that virgin flight, you know, she's going to receive enough semen. She's going to make about 10 or 15 different drones. She's going to have enough semen to fertilize about 3/4 to 1 million eggs. Well, if your queen laying 1,500 to 2,000 eggs a day, it's not hard to say, okay, she's 200 days into it, she's over halfway her cycle. He actually turns into an adult and will put out different parameters. And when you go into a hive and you see, you know, people say, well, I can't find my queen. Well, if you've got a younger 6 month or less queen, you will see that little star around her all in it. It's like the dating cycle. For the ones that's been dating a couple of years and the ones who've been married 40 years, you're not getting that courtship from your spouse that you got the first. The queen at 6 months, she's getting compared to.
Yeah.
It's you know, you don't need all of most of them. Like, well, a lot of times she's like, go find something to do. I don't need you around. Don't you got a yard? Oh, and that's why you can see. I make a joke a lot of times. I see people posting on advertising queens, and they have a row of queens, and then you look all the nurse bees on top of it, and there'll be a group of nurse bees here, and all of a sudden they won't be about 10 or 12 queens in a rack, and won't be no nurse bees. They're not hyping. They're not so needy as the young, and they don't need the attention. When I met y'all up on 95, when you open that box up, them bees you couldn't hardly see. Like them bees were all young and they was all needy, and so that's where you see, you know, as she matures, that's where you see the swarm. The bees know halfway done, if they have to requeen or, you know, swarm, they know that they have to get through it. Well, what we're seeing now is, if you know, I'm sure every one of y'all on Facebook, you see South Georgia this time of the year, gardeners, Roberts, they all have specials on queens. They're mass producing queens now at this time of year. That's where the hub is for all the queens. Florida shuts down. It's so hot we don't have queens shut down. But the problem is they're mass producing so much they don't have the drone to breed queens. So people who buy it, they start to see queen failure in November, December. It's kind of, you got queen failure in November, you're dead in the water. I mean, and so they're starting to realize that, okay, even though they're $19 a queen, if you need one to pinch, it's good, but you better have something ready to queen her as soon as you get your hands on. So we switched up our genetics on our queens. We went with a new queen, a few years ago called the Spartan. They're a hybrid BSH hygienic queen coming out of South Carolina. It's pretty unique how they made these. They're taking survivor stock of non-treated bees, and they're getting their best ones that's more hygienic. And they tried this years ago. Purdue came out with one called the ankle biter, the mite maulers, and they were great bees, but they weren't too much. They were OCD. They could sit around timeless, spotless mites, but produce no honey. They're not good for a honey. So we took these here and said, okay, will they produce honey? Jane just told me a while ago, our Spartan queens outproduced his queens that he had up here on Honeywell. Actually filled out better wax too, what he said. So that's great feedback for us that we're happy because we had the same thing. Our next thing was, are they early buildup? Remember I said we need our bees ready to go. Talking to Jim a while ago says that his queen, the bees weren't filled up. Some of the genetics we ran before was the buckfast out of Canada. Awesome queen. They would be great for sourwood, but they're slow out the gate. Everybody knows what the Italians are, right? Well, guess what? Italians are Italians. They like y'all's last flow is sourwood. Y'all last flow. Do y'all have a little goldenrod? Them Italians, when that honey flow shuts down, you better be ready to start feeding because they don't need to do for honey after I do it. They like the buck fast will actually shut down, quit growing, so they store that honey. So different trait on that there was our goals of having kind of like building the best portable. You want something out the gate, you want to run great on the back straightaway, but you also want to finish perch. So that's what our goal was there. Then the other thing I want to talk about was your mic. And we have the University of Florida, Jamie Ellis is probably one of the best ones that really pound the mite deal. Don't have a mite problem, mite program, won't have a bee program. You're not aware of what your mite loads are, and I go to different people and say, oh well, I'm free. That's fine. If it's working for you, if you're out by yourself somewhere, you don't have a lot of bees around you, other beekeepers around you, and that might free program is working for you. But when I turn around and say, okay, what are your numbers? Like here, how many of y'all actually do alcohol washes? You might know. That is probably one of the most important things to know your mite loads. And then if you do use any type of treatment, whether it's acylic acid, any of the chemicals, do it before and after to see, one, do you need to treat? If you got a low mite count, you got a 0 to a 1, you don't need to treat. If you do have a high mite load and you want to plan on doing treatment, go back afterwards and make sure your treatment works. Because some stuff on the market, they're advertising it, and it don't take a rocket science to look and say, why did Dave Dant and why did Man Lake have a fire sale last month on Apivar? Because they're telling you the product don't work on them. A lot of people put Apivar strips in and come back saying, I got a higher mite count. That product's not working.
You experience that.
Florida Angel. The bees are getting resistant to Amica. It's same as anything in ag. Go to a farmer, a cotton farmer, or even watermelon farmer. If you use the same chemical over and over, the bees will get resistant. Rotate your stock or what you're using. Here in North Carolina, the acylic acid really works good because y'all have root breaks. Florida, we don't have that root break, and we have a little high moisture. And the acylic acid is almost like, I tell people, it's like washing your dogs and throwing it in the backyard again with fleas. You knock them off for a couple of days, but they're coming right back. Use, it doesn't hurt to experiment if you want to try something new. And if you got 4 hives, do it on 1 hive. Take some notes and say, okay, I'm gonna treat these with this. I'm gonna try something new over here and see if you notice this. So what we done was we used chemicals. We rotated chemicals. With the anthrax, there's a couple side effects of that. You know, they went back and said that it actually makes your drones sterile. So our goal when we treat in the fall, we want to make sure we're treated and done by the 15th of December. So when our drone population starts producing in February, that all that anthrax is out of the system, so it won't affect our drones because we are a queen breed. We don't want to have, you know, sterile drones out there. So it's same thing as like right now, you got a honey flow. So unless you're using, you know, top guard or silica acid, you can't use the drip. You can't use something that's not allowed to be on with the honey. So, you know, that's just pretty much knowing what you're using there. And with the mite, it's not so much the mite itself, it's the viruses that might bring what they deliver to the bee. Sammy Ramsey is the one who split the whole world upside down. For years we thought the mite was like a tick on a dog, was the blood, but it's actually fatty fish that it. And when you pull up where that mite goes underneath the palate of a bee, and it's almost like a suction pump. It sucks the fat tissue out. The discharge has all the viruses and stuff. And it leaves a hole. And he explained it was like having a tick about the size of a basketball stuck to your side. And it doesn't take long after that. When people say, yeah, I'll see mites on the bee's back, then they're just hijackers, right? You don't have your mite problem on that. You know, you're starting to see this form ring virus stuff. It's done in you and out. You know, it's done effects really bad. And that goes back to the washes. And, you know, this time of year, especially as soon as the sour is over with, it's a very important time to do your washes because your mite load, you know, there's a chart out there. As soon as your sour flow, that's going to be your greatest flow up here. It's going to start your bee population will start going down. Well, the mite load actually runs 21 days past. All of a sudden, 21 days, your bee population starts getting back down to around 30,000 miles. Your mite population outgrows and it's overwhelming. So that's when we start seeing the queen failure of, you know, they swarmed, they left. Queens swarmed in October, pretty much done. Not going to have that take. And then you start seeing the hives crash September, October. You know, look, talk to people in the club. Normally, your loss happening over the winter, not over the summer. Springtime, it's hard to screw up a hive. Mother Nature will even be the worst beekeeper out there, the clumsiest beekeeper. Mother Nature will fix fall is tough. It's where you better be on your A game to get them, especially if y'all have harsh winters up here. And farther up the mountain you go, it's harder to keep bees. I mean, you better have strong hives and a lot of bees on to get them to where they're at. And the next thing is nutrition. You know, knowing what to leave on them, what to, you know, every area is different. We feed quite a bit in the winter just to stimulate. Normally about November, we have maybe a month of downtime. Then all of a sudden we feed stimulator. We do a light 1-to-1 feed to get that queen crank back up. We go in there on the feed, you can see different ones that want to grow fast. We would leave a box of honey on. Some of them might not touch, you know, they just don't want to grow. Take the honey off, throw a little feed on them, all of a sudden they wake up. You know, we manipulate the bees to work for us. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, you see the Save the Honeybee logo around the whole country. The European honeybee is a piece of ag. You know, it's like having cattle, pigs. You know, it's ag, and treat it like ag, and you've got to take care of it like ag. You just can't go out there and say, okay, I want to have a hive of bees, and think they will take care of itself. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you have to do to monitor that. Sometimes you get in an area, they pretty much, I mean, if you don't have no beekeepers around you, you pretty much, you know, got it made. But then you got your neighbor down the road, and he's got 5 hives, and he don't go to the box for twice a year, and he's producing, you know, mite bombs. Well, them drones, you know, they don't care who's coming and going. And if I show up to your house with steaks and beer, you gonna say fire the grill up. You know, the drones show up, they bring in the diseases with them, so they're bouncing around. And it's on the nutrition side of it, you've got, you know, everybody's got their questionable with the pollen patty, right? In Florida, the pollen patty is nothing but a beetle feeder. I mean, y'all notice who you put a pollen patty roll up and you see all the beetle on. University of Florida did a big study here a while back that, and the pollen patty is, and I noticed that Day Dant and Man Lake has now switched over, start sell more pollen patties with the natural pollen. You do is synthetic stuff, and it was like before, oh, my bees love the pollen patty. Well, they love the sugar in the pollen patty. It's part. Your forager bees are eating that for tar, but they have found no evidence of your pollen patty making it to the queen, pollen patty making it into wheat bread, or found no stores in the young larva itself. So getting nothing out of that other than the carbs. You know, they were sending it consumed, but it was the adult bees that were like, have all this great food here. You got kids. They want to do that taken item we need all the taken items. And so that's what, you know, the pollen patties kind of use your judgment. If it makes you sleep better at night and you think you're good to be, you know, you use it in Florida, even in South Georgia. Y'all went down to Florida for the winter. Did you see a lot of the wild mustard? If you're in the area of wild mustard, leave the pollen patties at the house. That wild mustard is probably one of the best pollen sources that your bees can possibly get. That there's something about that wild mustard that really has a lot of help for that there. I don't see a whole lot of this way, but I think South Georgia is coming across around Fifth and all the old peanut areas. Wild mustard everywhere.
There's something like, can you plant that on your land?
I believe you could, because they'll have to plant it somewhere. I believe you can. The same general practice of the same variety of plant is broccoli and grape seed. Up here, does anybody have a little garden? You grow broccoli. Watch that broccoli. Once it seeds out, it will have a yellow. Watch how your bees go to that broccoli. That is, instead of when the broccoli's done, I used to take a broccoli head, cut the head off, and then it would have little sprouts come up. You'd have a little single sprout around. Well, after that, it'd seed out. That pollen off of that is really great for the bees, especially broccoli. Y'all grow up here in the late fall to the first tree. So that's a great pollen source there too. But the wild mustard, I believe you could probably get seed for that, and it's pretty cold hardy too. Well, y'all get snow and freeze up here, so that's gonna knock in the head. But early spring and late fall, you can get something out of that. Y'all's you have the spring honey flow. Is that the tulip poppers? Y'all first one, y'all just have and y'all have yeah, and blackberry, and blackberry, the wild blackberry. the wild blackberry is really a good nectar source for the bees to help them grow too. I'm not too familiar with the tulip poplar and the locust. Locust is one of them hit and misses, right?
Yeah, low, every third.
Okay, okay.
The first cycle is done. And tulip poplar, you gotta wait.
Really?
Yeah, but that's a generous, that's a.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Gotcha. I knew the tulip poplar was one of y'all's biggest. I had a friend of mine wanted to come up early, and I was like, it's hard to leave what we got, especially our yard in South Georgia is right out of Fort Stewart, around Hinesville area, and back when Dr. Bryant was alive, we sent a sample off of that honey, and he personally emailed me. He says, "Are y'all blending?" Huh? Dr. Bryant was the gentleman out of Texas A&M that was doing the testing of the honey, and he passed away with cancer years ago. And a lot of the high-end honey with the sourwood, I don't know how to explain to y'all. There's a lot of people claim they're selling sourwood, but it's older honey that at the farmers market stuff. Well, when we sell the sourwood, our vendors will make it have test next year. North Carolina is different from Florida. Y'all actually have a standard. It has to be 51%, and they will actually go into the farmers market pool hunt. They caught the gentleman over in Asheville 18 years ago. Big farmers market. The guy on the end got wasn't Blue Ridge. Bob Benny's Blue Ridge, right? It was the red and white label bottle because mountain honey. They got him blending honey, and
Guy over.
yeah,
He got caught.
yeah. Well, no, this guy here was using honey, but he was selling. He was. Well, this guy here was selling sourwood honey, and he was blending with other honey. Well, it had pepper honey from Florida, which is the cheapest honey, and we talk about corn syrup. Corn syrup was a older honey that the big supermarkets were, coming from China stuff. They was using corn syrup. Well, then the USDA started testing for corn syrup. Well, then they got slick and said, okay, we won't use corn syrup. We're going to use rice syrup. Rice syrup was undetected. And then they banned Chinese honey. So then the Chinese went to the other communist countries of.
They get to Brazil,
Well, when they finally threw the red flag was when they went to South Vietnam and was bringing honey that way, and they said, "Oh man, you're Vietnamese was exporting 600 million barrels a year, doing the numbers of your land. You don't have enough bees to produce that much. So where's the money coming from?" Well, then they traced it back to China. Was so it's as a club, y'all are educating the community about where your honey's coming from. No, how many people say, "Oh, your honey tastes so good." It's not like what I've been buying. We buy Eagles. I buy it from Walmart. You ain't been eating honey. You've been eating something else. So it's we pride ourselves on having a quality product and quality bees when we pollinate stuff, and when we sell the honey, we really pride ourselves on our quality of it and not blending anything to honey. If we're not sure what it is, it's wildflower. My South Georgia honey is probably the most expensive cheap honey to buy. When we sent the sample off, we got results back. It was 27% Tupelo honey. Tupelo comes out of the fancy one, but guess what? It's not 1%. So it's not Tupelo. Tupelo in it. It had gallberry and it had wild blackberry in it, and it had palmetto. It finished up with a tight honey. Real light honey. It's wild. Most expensive cheap wildflower you can buy. But the taste on it is phenomenal. But no matter we want to say it's Tupelo, it's got it in it, but it's wildflower honey. I mean, nothing we can do about it. bees don't go where the bees wanna go.
You ever harvested one? You gotta get it separate, but
Well,
the size of the tree.
Tupelo honey in the panhandle is unique.
Yeah.
I come to North Carolina for sourwood. I build relationships with beekeepers. I've been I popped in there with, I'm been with Henderson. I don't know if we're up to date members or not. I'm on y'all's Facebook and know some of the old people I was with here. Met John, met Shane. In the panhandle of Florida, that's a already unique swamp. They flat tell you, your bees up here ain't gonna be here when you get back. You know, he says, I don't know what happened to them. You know, it's unique country up there. I've got some friends of mine. He went up when the hurricane came through years back. He went up with 4 his loader, helped clear trees out. He got in with a few people up there, and they let him. I got other people said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to Tupelo. Good luck. Let me know how that works out for you." It's different up there. We we came up, we set our bees up here. We actually have a bee yard up here in west of Asheville, and we went up, and my wife's parents were camping down in Alma, Georgia, and that's blackberry country, blueberry country, big blueberry farm village, and I had that truck with a 20-foot trailer and my kitchen on the back. And then we had 1 or 2 boxes of honeysuckle. We pull up to a Dollar General. She says, "Yeah, let me grab a couple cases of water, Mama." We pull up in there, and she ain't no more got a truck. Some guy pulls up. "What y'all doing this neck of the woods?" And if I wasn't so tired from driving all night, I would have said, "I just placed about 400 houses around the corner. I had it in my for 2 days looking at my bees." I just was not on my A game that day there, but they were really territory up there. If you went down there, you was kind of out of nowhere and what did you around you? So, you know, you go down there where he's at, it's kind of nobody goes that way. They go a little more east around Baldwin, that area there is an area that these beekeepers, they want to know what you're doing. When I've got about 5 or 6 good friends of mine that commercial beekeepers down south, and I might be cutting across Florida, and for games I just tag them. "Yeah, looking at a new bee yard," and I get, "What are you doing down here?" You know, they get real territory, and it's that way. But the bee world is so much different than the rest of the world because we are friendly. We want to help. You know, even at the club, you get a new member. You don't say, "Oh, great, there's another guy that's be selling honey down from me." You want to help him. You want to make sure, you know, because it is expensive to get started. You don't want to see him fail. And, you know, a lot of times you say, you run the club, hey, right? Well, guess what? You tell people all the time, it's free, come out. You can lead them, force the word, but you can't force them to come out and learn. Because the nice thing about having a club apiary is it don't cost nothing. Come out and see that's something you really want to do. You know, get a suit, play around the bees, and come back next month or next time you do it again. Do it a few times to see if that's even something you want to do. You know, it's a free, not too many places do that. And that's one of the bonuses of having fun. Y'all have a club.
Yeah, we're gonna quote you on this, just so you know, Billy. We're gonna quote you, everything you're saying right now, we're gonna quote it.
In Lake County, Florida, when I first got into bees, I was at the supply store up there and met a couple guys, and I just made a comment the other day. I got a friend of mine, he claims he's 4th generation beekeeper, and I said, you know, I'm 1st generation beekeeper, and I pretty much down there, we had one we call the godfather of beekeeping. Most every commercial guy worked for this guy and learned the trade before they went home. I kind of learned the trade by myself, but the advantage I had was I knew 4 or 5 key people that were doing it, and I knew the right people, and I wasn't scared to ask questions. And just like our beanery, we have family about 20 miles from us, on Smithfield Honey Farm. They actually are queen. They think they graft and sell about 700,000 queen cells a year. They're 3 generations family do together. We mirrored our grafting. Dave and Linda have been in bees since 1964. Graft. That's the year I was born. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Do it the way they're doing it, I'd be okay. And we've been successful doing that way. But a lot of people, they get caught in their own way and don't want to change. And in the bee world, you have to be, ahead of the curve because of the bees are changing, our climate's changing, our, development. Y'all see, the ones that grew up here the whole lot, you've seen how Hendersonville, how this area has grown so much. So you're losing vegetation. And so you see the problems we're having with the bees as far as, the mites. And so if you're not willing to change like that, and back to the club thing is, you take a beekeeper just starting, and I watch y'all have a great mentoring group, and it's up to them if they want to listen to that and say, okay, if somebody comes to you and says, hey, you need to do this, well, no, you might not need to do that, but you might want to listen to how they're doing that. Because as a beekeeper, you're going to do it your own way. What works for you? Shane, he works a full-time job. He's trying to run, 100 hives now? He's got to work around his schedule to do the hive. We run 1,000 hives with me and my wife. So, the only time we bring in help is when we pull honey. The rest we do all ourselves. And, it's all timing and it's all rhythm, but it's different from being the backyard beekeeper because, somebody who's got 3 hives, they can go in and when you talk to somebody and say, you look at somebody's veteran backyard beekeeper, they say, oh yeah, I go into my hive. How long are you in there? Well, I'm in there 30 minutes. Well, y'all look at me like, ooh, you're in there way too long. No, them bees, 5, 10 minutes, them bees change their attitude real quick. Like, don't y'all got somewhere to be? Go to the next hive. You've been in there too long. And then you got the ones that want to go in the hive every other day. Love them to death. That's where they come. If they come to the meetings and say, okay, I don't need to go into the hive. And my wife has a friend, she has 3 hives. He says, I go into them every 2 weeks, I'm done in 20 minutes. What do I do the rest of the time? Well, he comes out with us about once a month and gets a bee fix. One thing about going to our bees, you don't run out of bees. You just keep going and going until you're tired. And so that's one thing nice about a club hive. If you got 2 hives, how many y'all got in a club hive?
11. Yeah.
11. So you got more. There you go. So now you got somebody's want to come out new bees. You can be busy for a while. But I know y'all got other stuff to do. You got any questions or?
I do. So how do Florida has year-round club?
Yeah.
You never get a brood time. How do they opt-out point in the lab?
Yeah.
That. How do they do oxalic acid in Florida, being that you've got year-round flows?
We tried oxalic acid. Some people still like it. The ones that are using it, we're doing it about 4 to 5 treatments every 4 to 5 days.
4 to 5 treatments every 4 to 5 days.
Every 4 days, do like in the black.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
About 5 times every 5 days. So it was about a 25-day trying to get the whole cycle. What we found out though, without that brood break, we don't have the knockdown. We're just washing the dog, right? So a lot of people who tried to use it backed off, and then I don't know if y'all are aware of the EPA newsletter that came out in January, and I can send that link to you.
Okay.
Before you was talking about under the radar with before the EPA didn't have no guidelines for bees. It was all gray area. Well, Randy Oliver came out with this sweetie sponge deal, and he kicked the bear and woke the bear up. American Bee Federation had a big conference call, and they invited Randy Oliver to sit on and talk. Well, the conference call was with the EPA, and the EPA had all their lawyers on the conference call. Well, they start talking about his sponge, and I guess they triggered him when they said, well, you know, really, it's almost like a meth lab because you're got a pot, you're cooking it, but there's no variable, you know, when you're cooking it and making it down, you're not having a true mixture on it. And he got mad. He started throwing all the commercial beekeepers under the bus with how they're using Amitraz on a blue shop towel to treat their bees. So the EPA lawyer says, whoa. They came back in January with a guideline before oxalic acid it got approved, right? You could go down to Ace Hardware and get a thing of oxalic acid. Now you can't. You can't order Florida Laboratories and order a pound or 2 pounds of oxalic acid and legally put that in your house. Now there's 2 or 3 companies that sell it weighed out in pellets that's EPA approved, and now I think there's 1, maybe 2 companies that are selling the Randy Oliver cardboard. I think Fox and the Hounds, Flyers Alabama selling it, and one up Illinois selling it. That are only ones approved for that thing. So he really created a lot of stir in the bee world. Yes, he got hurt. His feelings were hurt because they questioned him about his product. They started grabbing hostages, and so in the commercial world, if you go back to Apribar, the makers of Apribar are the ones who got patent bank. The product in Apribar is Amitraz. Well, Amitraz was a mite treatment for pigs and cows, and the beekeepers found out if they took 1 part Amitraz and 4 to 5 parts of vegetable oil or canola oil and mixed it up and put it on, we used the blue shop towels, and that was the treatment you would put in, and that was not mite. Well, then guess what? The bees were getting resistant. So these guys were going instead of 5 to 6 to 1, they were going 4 to 1 and then 3 to 1. So the treatments were getting stronger and stronger. Well, the makers of Apribar come out with this product that's supposed to be time released, 42 days on the strips, and nobody was buying it. You know, it was $30 a pack. It cost you almost $7 Well, then they went to the EPA and said, hey, we did all this legwork. Commercial guys aren't buying our stuff. The blue cows cost about $18 a piece. So you take a commercial guy who's got 3,000 hives and it's $6 a hive to treat. Well, then have anybody y'all used Apribar strips?
Mm-hmm.
Look on the side of the strips. There's a little corrugated area. That's what releases the chemical. The bees do not like the smell of Amitraz. So they go propolize that up.
Mm-hmm.
Once they propolize that up, your product don't work. So now Apribar came out and said, okay, about day 21, you need to take the strip out and scrape that propolis off and put it back in. Well, the strength of it with the time release was not strong enough. So now they came out, and I said I wasn't going to talk about the product, but they came out with a product for the commercial beekeeper, now called Amitraz. And it's in a talk form, and it's a quick flash kill, but they didn't make it user friendly for the backyard. Have any one of y'all used Apribar? Apribar,
Yeah.
the thymol, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the makers of thymol, the big tub are made for or, for bigger, well, they went out and put what I call the kitty food. They got the one where you just pull the tab, you can buy it, and that feeds one hive. They looked out for the backyard bee. Well, the makers of Amoflex didn't look out for the backyard product yet, because the smallest dosage you can buy is 200 hives. Then you have to have a pesticide applicator's license to use it. So average backyard beekeeper can't do that. So what they're finding out now is some of the clubs are saying, okay, we will send a club member to go get the license, and then you can go out and put it on other people's stuff. The product does work. How long? Don't know, because it is amplified. It will get. We were the first ones. I think on y'all's link y'all showed where y'all missed my name. I did an interview with Man Lake. I was the first commercial beekeeper in Florida to use this product. But I think that we're going to see in the next year or two. Clemson's working on one right now that's supposed to have the knockdown about 1,000 times stronger than what Amorphous is, and they're about to release it. I think more and more researchers are trying to. They know what the mite is having to bring, so there will be more and more. Hopefully, they'll come out with more natural ways of knocking the mite down, throwing more chemicals into it, because the only downside is we as beekeepers, we're trying to kill the insect on the insect. That's tough when you're trying to kill an insect on insect. So, what can you use on one part does? So they don't have to do something and I think that the downside is the ones who do it, as soon as they put something, a label says for bees, the price goes up. I mean, you can go down there and buy a 5-pound bag of sugar, same sugar, they want to put a bee sugar, feed your bees this sugar, it's $10 instead of $5. I mean, it's crazy how, they gouge. And any other question?
Yeah, what's your methodology for testing? That's so many hives. What's your methodology?
We do spot.
I mean, I think
That's her job. You will go into our yard. Most of our yards are anywhere from 48 to 64 hives on honey production. Whatever our count is at yard, we treat the yard as a whole. So if we got 64 hives in a honey production yard, she will go in there and test about 6 of them. And then if the mite loads are over our threshold, we will treat the whole yard as a one.
Why did you decide 6? 10%?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mark before and then after. So, and we keep our yard in a rotation. So if I'm going in one yard and I'm checking to make sure queens are viable, we do everything in block. So my treatments are the same way. I do alcohol washes every month, but I'll go into different hives and I collect data. I test for mites every month, because if you think about how many yards we have, we always treat if we are over threshold. Well, we don't, nectar flow is a totally different situation. Like right now, I know what we are, we'll make a plan to treat. So.
While you're off, like came off perfect example was we came off of Brazilian pepper in November, and that's what made us use this new product. We were high on mite loads coming off pepper, and that was our vulnerable time of the year, and we knew we had to treat, and we like, okay, what do we want to use? So we treated with the Amoflex, and then we came off of blueberries. We did washes, and when we treated with Amoflex, we carried all of our numbers down to 0. She could not find the mite nowhere, so that's great. And then so when we came off blueberries in middle of March, getting ready to go to orange, we did some washes, and still our mite loads go 1. So at that time, we skipped the whole treatment, nothing got treated. We went into, our spring honey flow. We come out of our spring, staging our bees ready for sourwood, and we did washes, back in the, second week of May. And we found 5s and 6. So second week of May, we do our treatments, where our treatments are done by the second week of June. We move up afterwards. Now our bees are cleaned up, we move them up to sourwood. Now we will go back next week, all of our bees on watermelon, there's no honey supers on them. So each watermelon field will be a yard, and we'll start monitoring them. More than likely, we're creeping into July to August where the mite load, our numbers probably went up. So that's when we'll treat them. And then, so when they all go back to Florida for the pepper, we'll stage them in September. Everything come off sourwood, watermelons, they all staged up together, and then we'll do another wash then. What we found though is we're trying to, in the past, we were treating almost after every blow. We treat 4 to 5 times a year. And when you treat, not only you spend money, you're stressing your bees out with these products that you're putting in there. And you're stressing the queens out, you're damaging your drone farm, you're doing all this stuff. So now we found out, okay, sometimes less is better. So we found a product, if we can clean the mites up, then say, okay, we got our mites cleaned up, let's go with a more hygienic, mite resistant bloodline. So our thoughts were, if you got the whole hive cleaned up down to 0, if your bees are more hygienic, they're better to attend a 0 count there are a high count and heavy maintenance there. So now we have to go back and say, okay, we cleaned them up. Was the hygienic queens that were told are hygienic, are they actually doing their work, or did the product that clean, are they doing the work? So maybe it's a perfect storm where both of them together are clean. But if we can skip right now, our last treatments were done in December. We have not treated the B1 since we treated the bees ready to come up here. None of our watermelon bees, nothing, we have not treated nothing. So we actually skipped 6 months. So we have not stressed them bees for 6 months. Now I'm sure, like, what was our counts the last one? 5 and 6?
Yeah, 4, 5.
And so 48 hives. So we treated them, and they were done treatment by the second week of June, ready to come to sourwood. And then we'll go back, I say, and we'll check the other ones. But if we can get away, now we're at this spot now, okay, we use this product in December, what product do we want to use in June and July? You can't use Apricot because it's 9 degrees in Georgia, right? So I don't want to use the Amtraz again, have back-to-back Amtraz. So do I want to use acrylic acid? And no, I'm not getting complete treatment, but at least I'm getting a little less stress-free and a different treatment. Yeah, and
My big
we
answer.
re-clean every year. As much as we work our bees, remember I go back to the number game as the how much she can lay. We work our bees so hard, they are laid out, and we would have queen failure by February. Well, in February we can't make it. So we queen. Well, when you re-queen, you're actually breaking a cycle on the mites there too.
What's your mite count threshold for treatment?
Usually 3 to 4 is borderline. It depends on if I was going into a honey flow and I had a 3 count. And for example, if we did washes in May and I knew that I had to be up here by the 15th of June for sourwood and I had a 3 count, I wouldn't treat. I'll just go ahead. You're at the line where there's no way I can get a treatment on and off before my honey flow, because we don't anything when a super goes on, our treatments are on. We don't put nothing on, even acrylic acid, nothing. We don't. Yeah, when we sell our honey to like Bartman's, three things they test for is your amatraz, they test for your antibiotics, and they test for how much feed. And my last load, I went down there, I was told by the guy who I paid the back, oh, they're gonna find feeding. They're gonna find feeding my honey, I'll put the feed on my bees like that. Oh, they find feeding everywhere. Well, I got a call from Eric Martin that I had 0 antibiotics, 0 feed, and my threshold was way below average beekeeper on the amatraz. And he said, "You got some pretty good stuff." I said, "That give me a better price?" Nope. yeah. But it made us proud that hey, we was, a good.
At a healing farm for the PTSD. I'm actually a social worker by trade, and I started working with veterans with PTSD. And Billy was in the Army. So one of the things that we do is we spend a lot of time as commercial working with the universities. It'll be Georgia, Florida, any that say, okay, what's working with you guys? So then we can bring it to the hobbyists. And we spend a lot of time. Right now, we have different queens. We have another just kind of a hybrid queen that has a different box lid. And those are not hygienic. And I'm going to go back to those and say, okay, how well did they do versus our hygienic queen? So we spend a good bit of time doing a lot of our own data collection, just so that we can say that eventually it'll get down to the bee club and the education for you guys. We spend as much time as we can. If a university PhD student wants to do a simple study on drones or something like that, we say, please come utilize our bees, come utilize our hives, because we know eventually we were in where you guys have been, and we need that research to come to you guys, because Amiflex for us may work, but if it doesn't get down to everybody who's working the bees, then it's not going to help us. So I spent a great amount of time washing bees, mostly because I'm collecting data this next year so that when Jamie Ellis or anybody asks me as a commercial keeper, I can say, these are the things that are working, because they're not necessarily in the amount of hives as we are on a daily basis. So I kind of overkill it right now.
Look at the national study, average loss for a commercial beekeeper is about 30 to 35%. So if you're a backyard beekeeper with 5 hives, that's saying you're gonna lose 3 out of 5 of your hives every year. That's a hard pill to swallow. And so the goal is, I'm very active in our club. I was actually one of the founders in our club in Florida, and I was sitting president for the first 4 years. And the goal is educate the smaller beekeepers how important it is to do splits. The sole purpose for a honeybee is not to produce honey; it is to reproduce. So, if you're a backyard beekeeper with 3 hives, I'm sure y'all read the same thing. The ones that get into it, we always tell them at least start with 2. Have something to compare. Number 1, number 2. 3 is the magical number. But if you do 1 split in the spring and 1 split in the summer, you got 5 hives. If you lose 1, then you got to replace the hive. You really have the game. But if you go in the spring and you buy 1 nook, 1's a lonely number. You lose that nook, you're dead in the water. You got nothing. So we go in there and say, try to split, make your bees healthier, because you take an established hive that's a year or 2 old, and you take a nook that you built in the spring. By fall, that nook is going to do better. It's going to grow faster. It's going to want to do stuff better than that established hive. But if you break that established hive down in a half, it will get you. So teaching your members to do splits to make yourself so you're not buying nooks every year. I got some club members every year. I lost my bees again. I go buy 3 more nooks, And it's like, dude, I like selling you nooks, but there's something going on here. Why are you failing so bad? And, well, I don't really go into them like I should. I ain't looked at them in 3 months. Okay. What's your mite load? I don't know. Or then you got the ones I only watch. I throw treatments on them every month. Why are you throwing your money away? I mean, sometimes you don't have to treat. Sometimes you can do a split, 3 queens. Any other question?
You had said something about your favorite, is a Spartan bee, you said the hybrid bee? Which one are you recommending right now for the genetics?
Spartans. My biggest concern was that I played with the ankle biters years ago. One, do they produce honey? We're for honey. Do they grow up built fast? We need them built fast. And 3, do they really maintain the mind like I said? So far, we've seen all 3. Yes. We really like
On the Spartan.
Yeah. We sent some up.
Yeah, Shane, you like them,
got
Shane?
some, and the feedback we got, because the nice feedback was, okay, the Spartans, did they do good in Florida? Yes. Did they good in Georgia? Well, Shane's telling me they did good up here too. And then you go back and look at the genetics of the Spartans. If you go to BP Queens out of South Carolina, it's really interesting how they came up with Spartan. It's an Italian and a canola cross twice by each other.
Huh.
It's a pretty good program what they're doing.
There's several out there. One thing I've noticed that I don't like on Facebook and some of the sellers is they're trying to take advantage and they've raised the prices like special hybrid, and they're trying to sell it to the backyard beekeeper for like $60 and calling it something that it's not. An average price for a queen should be 30 to 35 at the most. And maybe time limit of certain ones, but I've been real upset seeing my other queen breeders selling them for like $60 because they're a special. That's the one thing I don't want people to start thinking is because they only need 1 or 2 that they should be spending $60 on a hybrid. Only thing I'm seeing is negative. No. So we've had the pole lines, and with the pole lines, they just kind of blended in and I didn't notice anything different with them. I love the bug fast. I will always love the bug fast, I believe. But to say we love the Spartans, we're still doing the research. We're still doing the data. I just say make sure you get it from a quality bee.
3rd generation, 4th generation buckfast. These turned a little spicy. They got a little bit hotter. And on some of the bee rearing things, even the ones in Texas, Weaver, Buckfast, they were a lot of complaints about how they would get the genetics came out of them. They got real spicy. And,
But was the honey production worth the spice?
well, here's the thing. As a commercial guy, you're suited up, you really don't care. But if I'm selling my queen to a gentleman right here in the backyard and he's in the community that he don't mind it, but his neighbors don't like it done, I'm not producing a very good product for him. He's going to be calling me next month and saying, hey man, these bees are tearing my neighbors up. What's up with that? So we look at all avenues that, we want to make sure, because I sell a lot of queens from commercial guys, but also sell queens to the backyard that buys 1 or 2 queens. And I want to sell the product that's going to make everybody happy. And I would rather say my product is great for backyard beekeepers, and the commercial guys love it too. And I'm not going to say, well, the commercial guy wants this here. If you want to, as a backyard beekeeper, you can either get it or leave it. I'm gonna look at the backyard first, because I think without the backyard beekeeper, the commercial world kind of separates itself from everybody else. And I think they go hand in hand. You need, in the state of Florida, I think we're now almost 6,000 registered. Out of them 6,000, probably 300 are. Look, that's a proud thing that Florida can say, hey, we got 5,700 back. It's a big trend of And I think people are, you see it, the last 10 years, more and more people starting to grow their own gardens again. They're starting, you know, want to go back to sustainable living type of thing. And it's one of the unique things, what I've seen is there's more women doing bees there are men anymore. Because the women like, you know, then a lot of the husbands say, yeah, she want to do bees, so I'm the muscles, I'm the one that does all the picking up. And then you get the ones like, you know, they come up and say, you know, what should I get? And I said, well, you got to ask yourself, are you 20 years old? Or are you 50 years old? I turned 60 next month. If I was want to do a backyard beekeeper, I would run all 8-frame mediums. Green bottom boards, 8-frame medium. Light, and I would run everything the same. I wouldn't have no D's for a minute. Everything would be all the same. Universal. Part. And it's, you know, but what was it? Last year we went to watermelon and had all singles. We run, you know, our hives are mostly deep in the meat. That's what I call them. Anything else? Well, that's funny. So we go to watermelons with all singles. My right self says, okay, we want to double these up, put double deep on them, and I'm gonna split them. I come on watermelons. I'll turn 300 hives into 600 hives. Sounds great on paper. Well, the bees didn't come to the building. They put a box of honey on top of her. So here's my old butt pulling 110 pound deep off, flat full 10 frames of honey. I said, there will never be another deep on them boxes again. You know, I'm too old for that. But you know, but like up here, a lot of y'all run double deep because you need that short stuff. You know, it's different, and that goes back to, you know, what works for each individual. There's no difference of having 5 mediums stacked up is too deep, other than weight. I see a lot of people on Facebook. Should I run double deep? Well, how strong are you? You know, should you run all deep? Yeah, you can, but you know, do you want to roll your supers off? Some people say, I don't mind. I take 1 frame at a time. You know, transfer them over to whatever works for you. Anybody else got anything? Yes, ma'am.
I was gonna make a comment about the mediums. I Kentucky Duck River Hunting. He's a YouTuber and he's going full-time commercial and he runs all mediums on everything he does. Scott, his videos are great as far as teaching how to do it with all mediums.
Yeah. Right. You know, 3 mediums is a hive and a half. Talk about the queen breeders down in Florida, because everything they have nothing but medium. The whole facility is nothing but medium. When you're raising queens, you can find a queen on a medium frame, 3-frame medium queen box. You can a deep, you know, less ground cover. It's all, you know, just like the honey super. You got a big debate. Do you run 10 frames in your honey super, or do you run a 9-frame space? If you're uncapping by hand, or you know, if you're just rolling it, you can run 10 frames. If you're using the uncapper with a hot knife, 9 frames builds out the nice fat slab and makes it cut. If you don't want the wax, if you don't need wax, run 10 frames. Got left wax. There's so many. There's not a right way and wrong way really to do bees. It's just what works for you.
You had mentioned that you run 10 per acre, probably only applies. You run 10 per acre blueberries.
Yes.
You come out of blueberries healthy. Because you hear up north all the time, blueberries and cranberries are coming out American stuff. Or European foul and they're sick.
Well, what they found out is, in y'all's club, what did y'all like a new member? If he wants to buy it, where does he want to get?
Several supply.
Yeah.
Y'all got several places here in this area that do
Yeah.
this, yeah, right? Well, think, how many years you been in bees? 4 years. Your first 2 notes, right? Out of them 2 notes, think back 4 years ago. How many of them frames in that note was brand spanking new? None. Guess what you got? You got the old beekeeper's way of cleaning their stuff out. Well, years ago, the old beekeeper wasn't cleaning their stuff out because the backyard beekeeping wasn't there yet, right? They just keep reusing the wax, reusing the wax. And they was causing a lot of the problems themselves of their diseases because they wasn't rotating stuff out. And the wax on the bees is almost like the kidney in a human, as a super organ. That wax is a filter of the bees, of whatever comes in, bad and good, stays in that wax. And this is the big beef that I have with the state of Florida. You know, they tell you, oh, you need to rotate your stuff out. You know, okay. They tell the backyard beekeeper every 5 years you need to get rid of your stuff. I said, well, then how come you're letting the commercial beekeepers sell their old crap to the backyard beekeeper? I said, so you're talking out both sides of the mouth. And I says, that's not fair for the backyard guy to have frames that are just about falling apart because the commercial guy sold them. And then now you're seeing people saying, okay, the nice thing about a club is when you go to a club as a new beekeeper and say, hey, first I want to get nooks. You've got your people that you trust that took care of people. You say, James sells nooks, this gentleman sells nooks, this gentleman. Now, it's your choice, you can pick. But there's 3 good opportunities. You're going to get 3 good quality nooks. None of these are commercial beekeepers, but you're keeping the bee cells in the club. Plus, you know you're getting a quality product because you know you trust all 3 of these guys to sell their product.
Okay, it's an interesting thing that you bring this up. And just a shout out to our next, if you want to attend our next board directors meeting, because there's a conversation in the club about the quality of the nucleus colonies that are being circulated in the club and whether the club should put parameters on the commercial beekeepers supplying those. You have an opinion about that? And if you're interested, it's going to be the first Monday in July. But I don't know that the club should function in a way to kind of police quality, but it's a really interesting conversation.
Well, I think the nook provider, if Shane wants to sell nook, his conscience is going to tell him if he wants to stay in this business and want the people, the meetings to say, hey, this guy has good nook. When I sold Shane, you bought what, 100 queens from me? 60. I checked back in with him, 2 weeks later? Hey, how was your take? Right? I checked back in 2 months later and said, hey, how are they doing? How you like it? First thing I said here, I want to know my product. Right? I'm not going to say, hey, I'm going to spend your money. You went to Disney World with me. You know, our pride is I want to know that he's successful in North Carolina with our queen. Because that's part of our product, whether or not he's gone now, that's still part of our trade. And I think that in the bee world that you have people that will make a quick dollar and run off to South Georgia, even Florida. I haul 400 nooks every year. We go up to Raleigh. I've got a guy in South Florida that produces them for me, and I take them up to Raleigh, and they sell them to the clubs. Quality nooks. First thing when I roll up in there, I said, better pull frame through that. These nooks spent about 3 weeks in the first bit of orange blossom. They're blowing up. There's probably 22,000 bees. But get people down the road say, oh, well, they're affordable. Well, newsflash, these are European honeybees. They're not native to America.
Well, nobody
Right?
is.
So they're not native, but if you got a good quality hive, don't matter where it came. It's more the principle from selling it to what they want to sell you. And you know, a true nook should have 2 frames of brood, 2 frames of honey, and that last frame should be at least brand new or close to brand new for them to be drawing something out on. And if people just throw stuff together, and I've seen some of my old club members ask me, hey, I'm a little nervous. I just bought 3 nooks. Will you help me come out and install them? Well, I go out and I pull the first frame and I see about 8 queens. And this nothing. So I call, we call this big commercial out there, and I spoke to the owner. He inspects your nook and do a person. Okay, that's great because I've got one right here. It's got 8. Oh, Tony must have looked at it. All of a sudden, he's basically bucking right on down the line there. I was like, well, that was fast. And so we went to the second box, and Morgan says, I told him, we're bringing these bees back.
Tony investigated those too, I guess.
He got all mad. He goes, well, just let it run its course. I said, well, first of all, the gentleman bought 3 nooks, so he should be having 3 young mated queens. And you install that nook into a 10-frame, 8-frame box, where you put it in, it should be ready to float. You shouldn't have to run a cycle. Now you got a queen cell with a merge. You got a 50-50 chance if she ain't coming back. This guy might live out in the middle of nowhere, where he's got no other drones around. Who's she mating with? I said, this brand new beekeeper is set to fail from day one. I said, I couldn't sleep enough. I know. I carried him all back there. Now he wouldn't know what to do. I called the guy out on it. Well, at that time I was president of the club, and I do everything. He knew I was going to smear him around real quick like. And I said, that to me is just etiquette of a beekeeper.
We don't smear at HCBA.
Yeah. But I mean, you will. I mean, it's not hard to put somebody on the blacklist.
I'm just gonna say it's. Person who's selling the bees needs to be doing it because they love bees, they're proud of quality products, it's not about making the money.
But
And there's people that are out there that put them in that order.
well, and that's the thing though. I always tell people all the time, when you get a job, you move there, I just never forget where you came from. I never forget, I used to have 3 hives, right? I never forget. My dad knew just about enough to keep his bees alive back then when he didn't share no knowledge because he didn't really know a whole lot about it. I got very lucky in knowing the right people, asking a lot of right questions. At the same token, when we formed our club, I'm like, I don't want to see these other people struggle like I was kind of struggling. And that's why, y'all have a club. You don't want to see. Same thing as now I'm a provider of services. I don't want to see somebody else sell a product to fail. Because that's you figure you're telling somebody, oh, don't get 1 hive. You need to have at least 2 to 3 hives. So don't invest $500. You need to invest $1,500. And then 2 months later, had a demo one time at a club. He's had bad luck with queens. He was want to requeen. I don't have no luck getting queens. I don't have no luck. So I asked him one day, I said, I'm gonna bring you 2 queens over and we're gonna put them in. He said, I got 2 hives. I get over there and I said, which 2 hives? He said, these 2 here. I popped the top up. I said, now you was gonna put a queen in? Yeah. I said, you got no brood. This hive's been queenless over a month. There's no brood. He goes, yeah, that's why I need a queen. I said, well, you have no brood. Who's gonna take care of the new queen? Right? He goes, what do you mean? I said, them old worker bees could care less about that new queen. You need nurse bees. Oh, well, maybe that's why I've been failing so much. I was like, education here. So I said, put a couple frames of brood there with some nurse bees and watch out. I'm like, a month later, man, my bees are doing good now. It's like, educate. But I look at it as, I could have sold you the queen and sent them down death row, but you're killing my queen. So let's find out what's going on and take the time. Then, I've got a lady in Gainesville. They was new beekeepers. She bought a couple nooks from me, and she called me back and said, yeah, I know we crushed the queen. I seen my husband smash it. It ain't your fault, but I said, well, just watch it and see if they make new cells. He called me back about 7 days later. Yeah, the new cells. Close it up, let it run its course. I said, if it doesn't make you new queen with, well, she says, yeah, we seen the queen. I said, what do you mean the queen? We went into it. I said, they just merged yesterday. Why are you back in your box? Let that virgin. I says, was you gonna give her a birth certificate or let her run it court? Because, you know, you're disturbing that virgin queen. They will not accept her as much then. So, well, she wind up, they loved her to death. And so I said, listen, I'm just gonna give you another nook. Well, we'll buy it. No, you bought 2 nooks. I'm gonna give you another nook and let you start freshening, because you're one house here and one house here. You need to get back level. Best advertisement anytime from Orlando to Jacksonville. Somebody asks about a nook. This lady's blasting my name all the place. Oh, you got to buy from him. And it's like, yeah, I didn't ask for all this. You know, but she thinks the world of it. And my point was, this couple is successful in beekeeping now. Part of me, but because of they, you know, I tell them all the time, get off the internet, because you can go on Facebook and post something, and you get comments from Michigan about how to do and not do bee. And, you know, what works in your area is what's best. Local clubs, you know, I always tell people, what the hell?
How about 250? $15 a year.
$15
For full
a year.
family, whether you got 2 or 9.
Where can you go for $15 a year to get all the information for it?
True.
Right? And pay $15 for food.
Well, I mean, sure, you know, that's where money goes.
Club is and it's that's what people don't realize. And some people say, well, I just, you know, I don't like doing stuff. Well, fine, go to the next club, find one for you. Y'all were always been, you know, I watch y'all on Facebook. Y'all always stuff. I mean, the club here is no brainer for everybody. Come do it free.
We've got I've got one last question for you as we close up. We have a weird thing that's happening in one of our communities, Laurel Park, actually. So there is a burgeoning belief amongst the public here that bees are invasive and they're not indigenous. And there was actually a speaker here recently that said that you know, we should. His opinions about the honeybees were, you know, the same type of opinions where we don't have native plants and whatnot. What would you? I would just like to hear what you would say to an individual like that about calling honeybees invasive and they should be here anyway.
Well, you could look at a lot of it. How do you get here tonight?
Right, we're kind of invasive, right?
Unless you're Native American, how do you get here? The automobile is not a native transportation to America. You know, nobody's come up with a wild horse. You take the North American Native Indians, you look at their food they had, you see that stuff they show, you know, 1/3 of the food we eat, or 2/3 of the food we eat is pollinated by American native, non-native European honey. So cucumbers, watermelons, apples, peach, and peaches on it. You take that food, take it all out. Hey, we don't eat that.
So you go the food route. It's awesome.
And you know, like I told you, it's ag. The European honeybee is agriculture. It's not the bee that needs to be saved. You got your native pollinators, but the European honeybee plays a role. Something I just learned of all the years I lived in Florida, citrus was not a native tree to Florida. It came native.
Huh. I didn't know that either.
Yeah. You look at almond. Almond is not a native tree. They made the almond. Peaches is not a native fruit. They created the peach. So you're gonna have the ones that are native, and yeah, the European honeybee may take away some of the food sources that the native bee would feed on, but the human race itself, as building, takes away more than anything. I think that conservation land is so important for all the ecosystems. I think the European plays a part of that system, as far as there's more better, we get more good out of the European honeybee than we do bad.
That's great.
And would be, the thing is, it's one of the ones that, you stop and think that European honeybee is the only. And anybody who's been in the bee house, they're pretty amazing people. I tell people all the time, the human race could learn a lot. They have a purpose in life. They do something in that house. And we can learn a lot. And as far as our worlds go hand in hand, you know, in the bee world, the biggest part of the bee that's affected with everything is their gut. Look at the human world, our gut system, all stuff we got in this world, that's our most affected there too. I guess. So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much for being with us tonight. Are there any
Enjoyed it.
last burning questions? For Billy before we close the evening? I want to say this, we have a lot of food left over per usual. I'll take, if you want some of the pork, take some of the pork, but if you don't, then I'll just freeze it and bring it for next month, potluck. Let's give a big round of applause. We need a few hands to put the chairs back into the, closet over there. And then, of course, just whatever you can clean up here or take.